Don't speak to any moment. Product of her environment. Shout out the global woman. Can't box her in with any trend. No, she's a global woman. Call Fire Marshal Bill. Like, let me tell you something. Flawless, beautiful. Follow codes down to her toes. Cuticles, picking rolls with the flow. Slam dunking all the goals. Silvers for the novice and golds for the pros.
Oh man, that'd be so cold, man. Shout out to my boy C Merck for that. C Merck, man. Check him out, y'all, on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere streaming. Check out C.Merck. M-I-R-K, that's my boy. But all right, let's get to this. What's going on, everybody out there in TV land, on YouTube and on Facebook Live? We come to you tonight to interrupt your regular scheduled program. Hey, y'all, we got a banger tonight. The mic is hot. We got Apron Obi going at it already. It's about to go down tonight. It used to be Obi and Kyra, but it seems like it might be Obi and April tonight. We're going to see what's happening. But hey, Facebook, do me a huge favor. Hey, go to YouTube. Everybody has YouTube on their phone. I don't know why y'all don't go to YouTube. And just type in Nutz, N-U-T-Z, Boltz, B-O-L-T-Z of life. So Nutz, the and sign, Boltz of life, and come watch us live on YouTube. Hey, YouTube, don't forget to click that like button. It's the thumbs up. Then slide your finger on over and press the subscribe. And don't forget to click the all so you get all of the notifications when we're going live or dropping new content. Lastly, share. You might ask, share this video to where? Well, most of us have Facebook, so that's where you can share it to, or anywhere you desire. Yes, guys, we'd like you to share these messages. We want to get them out to as many people as possible. We've been having some good stuff to say, and we always have a slamming panel, so we want you guys to hear this good word. So share, share, share. Also, we're doing something new. Every time we hit the 200 milestone mark with subscribers, we will go into the chat and find 1 or 2 people and send them a gift. But you must be a subscriber to participate. Right now, I think we're about 170 subscribers, so we're almost there. Stop Playing was created to motivate, inspire, uplift, and inform individuals about viewing life through an alternate lens. No two individuals travel the same road or embark on the same journey. Yet, obstacles are faced by all. Despite the challenge, if you believe it, you can achieve it. By purchasing a shirt, you can be part of motivating and inspiring someone to achieve greatness. Come join the movement at stopplaying.net. Yes, come check out my Stop Playing Apparel link and join the movement. Also, y'all, if y'all would like to donate to us, there's a QR code right on the screen. All monetary gifts are appreciated. We thank you in advance for your gifts. But we know sometimes you cannot scan the QR code because you're using your mobile device. So there's a cash tag on the bottom of the screen. The cash tag is $Nutz, N-U-T-Z, Boltz, B-O-L-T-Z 1. Again, it's $Nutz, Boltz 1. And with that being said, welcome to Nuts and Bolts of Life. I'm Edmund Chapman. I'm the CEO of Stop Playing Apparel, and I reside in South Carolina.
My name is Obi. Don't have a clothing line. I'm just a Christian and a Cowboys fan. And I reside in North Carolina.
I'm Angel, and I am also in North Carolina.
I'm Rin Kai, and I am also in North Carolina.
All right. I'm Joshua from the south suburbs of Chicago.
I'm April from Chicago proper.
Chicago proper.
I'm J. Marie. J. Marie from the south suburbs of Chicago.
Welcome. All right, we got a great bunch of people tonight. We got a couple of new faces, so we're gonna dive into this. But before we get into this, y'all know what time it is. It's Ed's story time. So let me ask y'all a question, just by a head nod, either yes or no. Have y'all ever heard this when y'all was younger? This gonna hurt me more than hurt you when you about to get a spanking or a whooping. So I guess me and April's on the same page. I've never heard that before. I thought it was a myth until just now. My parents never said that it's gonna hurt them more than no, never ever said that. I literally thought it was a myth. So I had to ask y'all. Y'all was like, yeah. No. My father, when he, well, let me be transparent. I only got 2 spankings my whole entire life.
That's why.
You know. And then one of them was because I didn't fight back. Like a kid hit me, he ran. I said, whatever. And I got a spanking for that. And my father is the reason I became the monster I am today. I will slap somebody right now. So thank him. He was the reason, because I never let that happen again in life. But all right, well, Obi, what's today's top, man? What are we talking about today?
I kind of want to go back to that, Ed, but go ahead. I can talk about today's topic. Today's topic is, should parents go back to the old school way of disciplining their kids? I say yes. Yes, they need it. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure we're going to dive into it a little bit harder in the next couple of minutes.
So, Obi, you said you want to go back to something. What did you want to go back to?
You never got beat as a child? You never got beat as a child? You didn't get beaten as a child?
Beatings? No. No.
Whoop, spank?
No, I got 2 spankings. Spankings, not beatings. 2 spankings.
Wow.
2.
That explains a lot.
Maybe because I wasn't a bad child. How about that?
You still should have got beat. Go
ahead, April. Go ahead. Jump on in. Go ahead. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Let's define bad. What's a bad child?
Good question.
So, like I said, I got a spanking for not fighting back, which was pretty dumb if you ask me, in my opinion. And I got a spanking for I think I might have broke something in the house or something to that effect, and it might have been an accident. But when I think about a bad child or somebody, maybe it was talking back, somebody that's constantly getting in trouble in school or at home, somebody that's always acting out, maybe for attention, somebody that might have been doing something to the neighbor's yard, because we did stuff to the neighbor's yard before. Nobody never knew, but we did some stuff before. Just never got caught. Probably got spanking for that. Just never got caught. So that's why I just feel like a bad or a child with disciplinary actions or behavior problem. Maybe not a bad child. Somebody had behavior problems.
What is a behavior problem?
Someone who I would think, to me, in my opinion, a behavior problem is someone that maybe can't sit still. Someone that they always into something. They always every time you look around, they into something. They into some kind of mess. Whenever you look around, like you just can't behave. Like you always gotta, okay, for instance, my stepson I think he had he wasn't a bad child. He had a behavior problem. Somebody talked about his last name. He wanted to fight. Somebody pushed him, or somebody took a ball from him. He wanted to fight them. Somebody threw a rock in his direction. He wanted to fight them. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I used to go to the school every day. He had to fight every single day at school. Like, what in the world? And he was hold on. And so he was very smart too. He was a very smart kid. And so he's like the corrective teacher. Like, calm down a little bit. I understand that you might have been right, but sometimes parents and teachers don't like to be corrected in front of everybody. And he was one of them kids like that. So I don't say he was bad. Maybe I used the word, I said bad, maybe I used it wrong. I think he might just had a little behavior problem. Go ahead, Rand. Okay.
There's so much to unpack here. Holy shit balls. Okay. You described me, first of all. So full on, I'm going to just put that out there. So you're talking about a regulation issue. The kid was never taught how to regulate their own emotions and how to act appropriately when they are feeling intense feelings that they don't know how to deal with. And typically those intense feelings come from their parents. So they're watching their parents explode. And then that's what they learn. I learned how to explode. I will lay somebody the fuck out. Not now. I'm grown now. But when I was younger, I will lay you out. And the reason is because I got the shit beat out of me constantly by my parents. And because they were explosive. So it made me explosive, very explosive. So I don't think that you're talking about necessarily behavior issues, I think that it's more of an issue of being shown incorrectly about how to manage your anger and yourself under stress. Yeah.
Hey, twin, how you doing?
Hi, friend.
I'm gonna dive back into that, but I'm gonna let somebody else go. I'm gonna dive back into that because now you're talking about my parenting. But I'm gonna go ahead, April. Then I think Angel has something too.
Okay, so obviously, I am the no spanking parent. Now, I will give you a couple of things. One, did I used to get beat? Yes, I did. Two, have I ever whooped my children? Yes, I have. I believe that spanking is lazy parenting. I said what I said. I believe it is lazy parenting because parenting is expensive. It's tiring. It's frustrating. It's all of those things. However, you're not teaching to correct the behavior. You are beating, whooping, spanking to instill fear. And that doesn't teach a person how to go on in their lives in the future. That teaches them what it taught me. It teaches them what it taught Rand. It teaches us to beat ass and ask questions later. It doesn't teach us emotional growth. We just throwing hands because that's what we learned. That's what we see. Somebody did something you didn't like as the parent, and you decided instead of having a conversation, redirecting, and doing all the things that parents should actually do. And as someone who has given whoopings to her kids, I can tell you that I did it because I was being lazy. I could have gone a bunch of different routes about how to correct whatever behavior I saw that was incorrect or wrong or whatever you want to call it. But that's also, I want to, whenever we get a moment, because I don't want to take up too much time in this one, I want to talk about a teacher who once called one of my kids bad and how I reacted, how my big feelings showed up in that instance of calling a child, my child specifically, bad. I don't think that children are bad. I think they are children. They're inquisitive. They're energetic. They're a bunch of different things, but they are still human beings and children, and you shouldn't whoop them. That's just me.
We're gonna let Angel jump into it in a second. But April, you're correct when you said the word bad. Because I even got it corrected before that by my ex-wife, and I was like, you know what? So my apologies when I said the word bad. Because she even said, well, he's not bad. He did. That's why I went to like behavior. But go ahead, Angel.
So I am with both of them. I used to get the crap beat out of me too as a kid for no reason, any reason, and just not, most of the time didn't even know why I was getting beat on. But I'm kind of in between like both, and like with April, like I literally am this is going to hurt you more than, or hurt me more than it hurts you, because I was that mom that I did spank my kids, and they can count on one hand how many spankings they got. But I was the parent that after I spanked them, I would go in the other room and cry my eyes out because I didn't want to do it. But because of what they did, they needed to know. And because I talked more, they knew that if they got a spanking, they really needed some correction, that what they did was more of disobedience and not bad. Like it was probably something I told them not to do, and they did anyways. And so they needed a spanking for that because they disobeyed, not because they were bad. And so I am also the one that, because I got beat the crap out of, I just did not believe that. I didn't want my kids to feel how I felt. And so, yeah.
I know, Obi, you want to chime in, but before you chime in, I want to read the first question because we actually kind of talking about it, and this could, you and Joshua, and I'm sure Jay might have something to add. So the first question, April really tapped into it already, kind of, but do you believe we should add spankings back, and do you think we should add spankings back, and would that help or cause emotional pain if we did add it back? Go ahead, Obi.
I think we should. I think most parents, well, I ain't gonna say most, some parents do spank. April, I've disagree with what you said, and I challenge you on what you said about lazy parenting, only because, like, when I spanked my kids, it was after I told them time after time after time after time, stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this. And after about 4 or 5 times, as a parent, you can't let them repeat that behavior because then it's going to become routine, and they're going to think they can just keep getting away with it. So after 4 or 5 times, I would beat my kids, and I wouldn't beat them to hurt them. I would beat them to teach them a lesson. You need to do what you're supposed to do, make good grades, clean up your room, do your chores, blah, blah, blah. But I would never beat them to beat the brakes off of them because that would have hurt me. And I would have been the one running in the room saying, hey, I'm sorry for beating you. But I beat my kids more for discipline than anything. It wasn't because I just wanted to beat them because I wanted to beat them. Because my parents didn't do that to me. My parents would beat me if I didn't clean my room, if I did bad in school, if I was out in the streets doing some stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Let's go. We're gonna shift over to April and then Jay. Then we're gonna come down to let Ren chime in and see if Joshua got something to say. Then we're gonna keep moving a little bit. And I want to address what Ren said too. Everybody go through, and then we're gonna move on. But April and then Jay and then Ren. Go ahead, April.
I get why the term lazy parenting is kind of sometimes hits people in the wrong space, and I get what you're saying. I would also challenge that when you told them not to, did you tell them why?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, of course.
You told them why.
Mm-hmm.
They did it anyway, and so the next time that they did it, did you take a moment to say, "Well, we already talked about"? Did you explain to them why? Did y'all have a conversation about why, or did you say, "Don't touch the stove because it's hot"?
I won't say I explained it, but we did have a conversation. Like, didn't I tell you not to do that if you did it again? And I would
So I
probably
think
walk away. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say I would probably walk away pissed off because if I'm like, hey, don't be on your cell phone after 9 o'clock and you're on your cell phone, and I threaten you with punishment, with all this other stuff, and you still didn't listen, to me, I have to take another act. As a dad and a man, I have to take another action to show you that I'm serious. I mean, that's me. Women do things differently from men.
What?
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, fine. But so I just have this one. Is it? I guess I think maybe we're thinking about having children as some form of ownership, that these people, human beings with their own minds and thought processes and all of the rest of that, are going to do exactly what we want them to do, exactly when we want them to do it, period, point blank. I said, so you better, is where I'm saying that the laziness comes in. Because one, I think we all need to strip away our egos when we're talking to children, talking to anyone. But I would also just challenge, let's just say, I don't know, someone who is an adult. Let's say Ed, you had told Ed, hey, I don't want you to do X, Y, and Z. At which point does he continue to do X, Y, and Z that we put hands on him?
That's gonna be on Ed, because if I tell Ed, hey man, I don't like the way you do the way you're doing, and it depends on his age too. Let me mention that.
No. I mean Edmund Chapman. I'm sorry. I mean Edmund Chapman right now.
Well, everybody know my government. Let's go.
I'm talking about this grown man right here. Mm-hmm. Because what I'm hoping that you'll think about is that you don't hit anybody else. Any adult, you don't just go off the rocker and slap people because you asked them to do a thing and they didn't do it. You don't.
We're talking about kids, though. We ain't talking about grown people.
But they are still human beings. Just because they are children doesn't stop them from being human beings with their own thought process.
Okay.
Hold on, Obi. Let's let Jay get in. I want to hear what Jay got to say. She has something. Y'all going good. I like it.
Yes, the conversation, like, I am just like appalled. And for me, yes, I'm a parent. Yes, I'm not going to say I got beat growing up, but I was raised by my grandparents who are very, very old school. So if I acted in a way that they disapprove, they laid hands. But on the flip end, coming from an educator, someone who not only delivers therapy to children and see what happens directly when they aren't taught behaviors, the results, like it's a little damaging. And I was gonna ask, like, when the question was raised about, should we go back to old school, parenting? And my thing is, what is old school and what really did that teach? And so many people said that all it really instilled was fear. Teaching behavior starts the moment that they're born. And when you have a toddler that acts out in a way, you teach them the behaviors that you want to be seen, that we want them to have. And when they do things and we tell them no, stop, don't, that's like telling them go ahead and do it. Like, you're not telling them, instead of doing X, Y, Z, try A, B, C. It's just don't do this. There's no explanation. Their minds don't fully understand why you're telling them not to do it. So for me, someone who has been on the end of, getting whoopings, and, I whooped my child, but kind of like one of the other moms said, like, it wasn't many times, and it was for some things that it's like, okay, you just, anywho, but I just see the damage that it does versus teaching the behaviors that, should be taught. And we got to teach them and putting our hands on them. If anything, like I tell people, and I, bragged about it growing up, my grandparents instilled the fear of God of me. But now that I'm an adult, I look at all the trauma that I'm unpacking, the things that I'm afraid to try, the things that I don't want to do, because if I fail, like, there was always a negative consequence. So
Hey, let me jump in real quick, Ed.
Very
I just
mindful.
want to say one thing.
Hold on. Let me get off this real quick, Odie. Hey, so Facebook, if you're watching this right now, we're about to log off like we always do. You tune in to Nutz and Boltz on YouTube. We're about to log out. And also the phone lines is open, guys, 704-891-9560. So you can call in, but Facebook, we're about to tune off. We're going to let Obi get in one more time so we can continue moving on. I know Ren and Joshua got something to say. Go ahead, Obi.
Okay, Joshua and Angel, this is gonna be real quick. Hey, April, just to let you know, I didn't abuse my kids. I didn't beat them every day. But when they needed to be disciplined, I did discipline them. My grandparents beat the brakes off of me. I had to go outside and get a switch. I got hit with the little wooden spoon and fork. So I know how traumatizing that can be. But what that taught me was, hey, there are rules that you got to abide by when you hit a certain age. And hopefully that carries on into your adult life. In my life, it did that, which is one reason why I joined the military. My statue probably scared my kids more than anything, so I didn't have to beat them or discipline them that often. But when I did, I would.
So your kids were scared of you?
No, nope.
You just said that your stature,
They respect
the size of you, made it so that, nope, hold on. You said that your stature, so the size of you and how you would stand up over your kids, that was enough. And that wouldn't, I put words in your mouth. You did not say you stood up over your kids. I apologize for that. That you being in close proximity, because for your stature to intimidate them, which is what you're implying here, that you didn't have to hit them because they already felt intimidated. Does that feel correct?
No, not even standing beside them. If I was having a phone conversation, or they could be on one side of the room and I could be on the other side of the room, and I would tell them, hey, you can't do this, or stop. They would stop. Because of my voice, not because of me standing over them like a muscle man, because of my voice.
Hey, let me jump in real quick. We got a caller. Caller, you are on the line with Nutz and Boltz.
Hello, how y'all doing? I'm Ariel. I just want to ask just a few things. As a person who, I'm the oldest child. I have a little sister. We are 15 years apart. Growing up, my mom used to beat the brakes off of me to the point when I got older, it turned into fist fighting. And it was never any, this is why you don't do it. It was just more so, I'm about to beat your ass and we're going to move on. Like, I could walk and accidentally step on the back of my mama's shoes in the store, and she will haul off and hit me. Wow. Fast forward, I have a little sister now who's 18. I saw a complete contrast in how she parented. With me, I got I'm going to beat your ass. And with my little sister, she got, well, this is why you don't do this, and this is what you should do in the future. One thing I can say, did my mom learn to change those behaviors? Yes. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said it doesn't affect me now as an adult, especially seeing my little sister get soft parenting. On the flip side to that, I'm a lot more independent, and my little sister is spoiled. Mm-hmm. So I personally believe there is a need to find an in-between. I wouldn't say you need to particularly take away the whoopings, but also at the same time, the whooping should be the last resort. That shouldn't be the first thing that pops in your head to do to a child. Yeah. It can cause trauma issues to the point where me personally, I'm 33 years old and I could care less about having kids because I don't want to pass that trauma on. That's all I know. I don't know anything else other than that trauma.
Thank you. Ariel, thank you for your call. I want to tap into something she just said, and I think some April kind of alluded to earlier too, with the lazy parenting. I'm on the side now of the no spanking side, because I tried that way with the kid I said was bad or behavior problems. And then I noticed my other friends down in Carolinas that they didn't really spank their kids. And I know it's like, okay, why is this kid study acting out? So when I did, like the young lady that said, I think alluded to, when I sat him down and started to talk to him, I believe April said it earlier, I said, I figured out why he was doing things. And we was able to talk about things. And we were able to go for a drive and go play ball. And his behavior flipped. He wasn't getting into trouble no more. I was telling him like about good energy and about the Lord and stuff like that. So I didn't have to necessarily give him any more spankings. And unfortunately, I got divorced right on the cusp of doing this, of changing his life around. But I did notice that sometimes we don't have to do a spanking. We just, like April said, learn the child, talk to the child, not as an equal, but as a human being. And you can see why they're doing X, Y, and Z. So I do agree with you guys on that. Go ahead. Joshua wants to jump in. Then we're gonna go ahead, Adrian.
Oh yeah, I just want to bring up something that I noticed during this conversation is that a lot of women on this panel or on the phone call are talking about how they were severely abused by women, right? They mom was beating on them, but then so when you have a man who is like the disciplinary arm of the family, and we don't have to do much beating. We don't have to, you know what I'm saying? All we have to do is like give our bravado, say our piece, and then kids fall in line. I just want to kind of point to Obi's fact that, you know what I'm saying, that's something that's a real life thing. For example, I had 3 children myself. I didn't have to whoop any of them anytime. But if I come to them with a situation or a problem, and I talk to them about it in the way that I do, they fall in line automatically. It's not that I'm being overbearing. It's not that I'm trying to, be forceful to them. It's that they have a common respect for me. And I really appreciate my children for acknowledging me as the head of the household, for being the disciplinary arm of the family, and for knowing what the hell I'm talking about. So I ain't get a lot of whoopings. I'm like Ed, I ain't get a lot of whoopings growing up, and I didn't have to dish out a lot of whoopings. But I'm like Phil Jackson. I'm like the coach in this house. All y'all Michael Jordan, we got Scottie Pippen running around here. Y'all doing y'all thing, and I get that. But there's no direction that y'all won't have without the coach telling y'all which way to go. And that's the position I play. And fortunately, I got a daughter in college. I got one coming up and about to graduate. I mean, I've been getting good results from that. So, I mean, you asked the question, can we go back to the old way? What's the old way? I don't know the old way. We just have to adapt. And, some things that you guys go through with, whooping kids, that's just something that I didn't have to go through because of my parenting style. So I'll land my plane at that.
None of us stated that it was our moms that hit us.
That is facts.
Well,
hey, so
I guess maybe
did. So we gonna let Angel jump in. Then we're gonna try to move on to another question. To flip this question, I got another one for you. But Angel, go ahead. Then we're gonna continue to move on. Y'all doing good tonight. I like it.
Stop it. So I do a lot of mentoring. I have a girls nonprofit, and then I also go into the elementary schools. And I often ask my young people from my elementary age to my middle school girls, what's the one thing you wish your parents understood about you? And one of the things that I get from them is they ask about, well, my parent doesn't respect me. And so I ask them, what does respect look like to you? Well, they don't hear me. They don't listen to me. And so it's, and I think someone had mentioned, it might've been in the chat where they were like, you know, they're kids. And I often wonder, like, they're, like April said, they're humans. Like, are we saying that they shouldn't be respected simply because they're a child? Which I don't agree with, because respect just looks different. It's about getting a perspective and what that means to them. The other thing is that we talked about, I guess what should be, and you talked, your question was about going back. And I kind of am in this little realm about like what societal processes are, what society says, and who they say what should and shouldn't be. And I just be like, well, who are they to say what should and shouldn't be, and what is the proper way to do something or whatever. But I just think that children need to be parented on an individual basis. I don't care if you have one child, two children, three children, like they all are different people. They're all going to grow up to be different people. And so they should be parented differently because they all have their own personalities. And then my last thing is that depending on, I mean, I forget, I'm sorry, Ram said, like she said, what children are taught in their formative years, what they see, what they hear, like all of that plays a part in what type of child you're going to get when they get a consciousness. And so if they're viewing and seeing, I know that sometimes parents like put, like, especially now, like the devices and the access that they're given from like all the different like social medias and things, like when you don't monitor what your child is listening to, what they hear, what they see between like the ages of like when they're like learning and mimicking up to that age 3, like you pretty much allow their personality to be set when we think like, oh, they don't bother, they don't hear. But the most time that they absorb the most is when you think they're not listening, when you think they're not watching. So if they're watching your behaviors, if they're watching auntie's behaviors, if they're watching the TV, if they're, all the things that they're catching and listening to is all forming the behaviors and the actions and the reactions in their mind, let alone their main two teachers, which of course are normally the parents. So that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, Obi, can you see the star comments? Can you read those?
Yes, sir. All right. One commenter said, healthy fear is essential to the household. Without it, kids will push the limits.
Aren't they supposed to? Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they learn.
No, y'all let him read the comments.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with it. Yeah. Healthy fear. And
I'm messing with y'all.
Kind of come back, Rian. I think that's what men do to kids. It's not like overbearing. It's that healthy fear. They're afraid, and they should be. Another commenter said, we know the value of what we're telling them will save their lives. So listen first and you won't go through hardships later. And I totally agree with that.
You will always go through hardship. Everybody will.
There
are zero people.
You won't go through as much.
Zero people have gone through a little bit of hardship. Zero people. That we all have a smorgasbord of trauma, no matter how we were raised at the end of the day. Yeah. And so because of that, we have to overcome so much just to come back to ourselves, you know, like we cannot avoid and we cannot help our children not have to overcome things in the future that just like fundamentally as a human isn't the way that works.
I know I prevented my kids from going through so many hardships that they didn't have to go through, aside from the ones that pregnancy, drugs, what else? You know what I'm saying?
But did you do that? Did you do that?
So I've been a staple in their lives to prevent them from going on the wrong path, and those are the hardships that we're talking about.
I hear you.
The next comment says it's about teaching kids they have consequences to their behavior, and to me that just sounds like You're trying to keep your kids on the right path so they won't go to jail. It kind of correlates to the previous statement about them not having to go through hardships.
So I'm sorry. Were we done with the questions? Can I?
You don't have like 15 questions. You got comments. These are comments, but go ahead.
Okay. No. Finish reading the comments.
No. That was one last comment.
Okay. So we're all sitting here and we're having the conversation about kids having consequences, because everybody, there's a consequence no matter how old you are. If you do something, if I went into work tomorrow and stole on my boss, I'd be fired. That was my consequence. My thing is why do we always, I want y'all to hear me when I say, why do we always think that the consequence to the action has to be physical? That's all I want to understand. Why does the consequence have to be physical? Why can't the consequence be something else? Why does discipline have to be physical? There's other ways to discipline children. There's other ways to discipline anyone. If that was the case, if somehow you got out here and you needed to but there's other ways of disciplining. There's other ways of correcting someone besides putting your hands on them. And I also wanted to bring this up. If you're not the one on the receiving end of the whooping, you can't actually define whether or not the whooping registered as a spanking or a beating. I'm just going to let you say that right now. You're not the one who is getting it. You do not know how that registered in their heads.
That was hard.
April, are you reading my notes? Because you actually talked about the first question, and I told you the second question is the second question is, what are some positive disciplinary techniques? She just said there's other ways. What are some positive disciplinary techniques? Techniques.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to give an example. I have a 2-year-old currently, and my 2-year-old, I can watch it happen on her face. She loves me so much that she will, you can see it in her face, and then she grabs my face and just like grabs my face. It hurts so bad. So a authoritarian, which is the old school parenting, an authoritarian parent would likely hit that child. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back, right? You hurt me, I want you to feel what this feels like. So I'm going to hurt you back so that you understand what you just did. And then you hopefully don't do it again because you know what it feels like. And so what I do, and what I've been doing, she stopped doing that, thankfully. But when she was 1, she started. I would put her down and I would explain to her that I know that you want to hang out with mom right now, and now you don't get to. Nope, you don't get to apologize to me. You're trying. You don't get to apologize to me. I'm actually going to walk in the other room because you just bullied me. And because you bullied me, I can't control your body. I can only control my body. So I'm going to move my body out of this situation so that you can't continue bullying me. And over time, and I've had to do this, I had to do it probably 40 times, but this is what non-lazy parenting looks like, just to kind of use April's wording here. It's me redirecting and redirecting. And through this method, I'm teaching her several things. I'm teaching her how to react when a bully is bullying you. You can't do anything else to somebody else's body, but you can surely move yours and get yourself out of the situation. I'm teaching her that I love you and we have a connection, but this is my boundary. I won't let anybody lay hands on me, and you should not let anybody lay hands on you. And so, and that's the way that I approach that sort of discipline. Yeah.
But you're also teaching her that she got consequences to her behavior, which is the same thing that.
Hold on, Obi.
I'm just saying that I'm not retaliating. And
Obi.
Yeah.
So it's 2 things I want to address. I want to go back to some earlier you said and something here now. That sounds like some punk ass parenting to me. I'm not moving my ass from no room from no damn child. That's number one. I'm not doing it. I'm going to demand. Like I'm with you guys on the spanking. I'm with you on the spanking. But I'm going to demand presence. I'm not about to say let me remove myself from a child. It's not going to happen. I'm going to demand presence. I'm going to sit and have a conversation, like I said earlier, because earlier you said that where the child acting out because of parent. I wasn't doing nothing in front of the child. nothing, and he was still acting out. They had nothing to do with my exact parenting skills because I wasn't doing anything to show him a negative role model. I was showing him positivity. So you said earlier you was doing, the parent was they reacted because of what the parents did. I wasn't doing nothing. Me and my wife, we didn't do nothing in front of the children, so therefore they didn't see nothing to reflect back on us. And then, like, I go back to what you just said. Hold on, what you just said now is like, well, the child hit me, I'm going to remove myself and somehow bully. No. You sit that child down. I'm not saying you got spanked and beat and all that craziness. And I'm sorry you guys got beat. No, for real. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think nobody should get beat. That is insane to me. I heard my mom used to get beat before. It's insane stuff I used to hear. Insane. It's crazy. But if a child's hitting me or disrespecting me, I'm going to demand presence. And maybe because I'm a man, or because I'm a Chapman, or because I'm whatever, or because I'm black. I don't know. But I'm not going to physically take myself out of the situation because of the child and show, oh, this is how you not get bullied. No, I'm going to talk to them. This is what you did. This is, and I learned to talking. This more of a kid than spanking. And that's how I'm going to handle the situation. Go ahead, April.
So I think that what we all maybe what we all could benefit from is a little emotional intelligence. Yeah. And I say this not directed at anybody specifically. I'm just saying that once you realize where your emotional intelligence is at the age that you are, whoever takes this, think about how far you've come, right? A boundary is for you. It's not for another person. So the way that you set healthy boundaries is to, if a person does this to me, I'm out. That's just the boundary. Let's take it with cheating, okay? Because I feel like maybe that's a thing. If I'm in a relationship and someone cheats on me, I leave. I don't have to sit down and have a conversation with them. I'm not going to explain to them no, my boundary is that I don't get hit. My boundary is that I am not cheated on. And when those boundaries are crossed, I remove myself. And that's, I believe, all Rand was saying, because that's how you teach your child healthy boundaries, that you don't teach them that they can somehow change the behavior of someone else. When she said, you can't control anyone else's body. You can't control anyone else's body, their minds, their thought process, how they're going to move. You can only control yourself. And that's how you set a healthy boundary, is you remove yourself. You don't chastise, you don't talk to somebody cross the boundary of yours, you remove yourself. So I wouldn't call it punk ass parenting. I would say it was actually teaching a healthy boundary. Oh, that's a thing that I don't go for. I'm going to leave it. And then that person gets to, their consequence is no longer having access to you. That's how that goes. But
she also said too that you're spanking because you're hurt. When I did the little spanking I did, it wasn't because they hurt me. They didn't do nothing to me. Yeah. My feelings weren't hurt. They didn't physically hurt me. They didn't emotionally hurt me. I wasn't hurt at all about it.
Well, so it was necessary.
It was necessary at the time. I thought it was necessary instead of talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. In your particular instance, and not to put too much of yours out there, you said that was your stepchild?
Yes.
How old was that child when you came?
When I first came into my life?
When you first came into their lives, yeah.
6.
So
5 or 6. 5 or 6.
For 6 years. So for 6 years, especially formative years, we're also talking about a child who, I don't know what was the situation with their mom and their actual bio dad, but they're dealing with that. They're dealing with whatever that split is. They're dealing with a new human being who they do not know. They're dealing with so many different things. Who knows what they were dealing with at school? Who knows what their mom did when you weren't in the picture? Because sometimes women have a tendency of switching up how they move depending on who they're with. It could be a bunch of different things. And since it can be a bunch of different things, and you know what, I'm going to take that back. It's not necessarily women. Sometimes it's just human nature to, want to be liked and want to be loved. So you align yourself to, either way. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But that child was dealing with a lot of different things, and nobody was having conversations trying to figure out what that child was dealing with. And this is how it comes down to, they learned what the parents allowed. like they learned what the parents taught them. And also you said that it didn't hurt you. So why did you whoop them? Because it was bothering another adult?
Because it was necessary to correct the behavior that they did. It had nothing to do with me being emotional. Look, I didn't do the whole "this gonna hurt me before it hurt you." I didn't do none of that crap.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, you study doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. So this is a necessary action. I thought at the time I didn't, before I know about the talking, that you needed. No, it didn't affect me. Actually, I didn't like what the school was doing. That's a whole other thing about these whole nother conversation. But I'm like, you still gotta respect when you go to these classrooms and let us handle it as the parents. Let us go and like I think you said, April. Somebody called you do what you need to do when they called your child bad. You showed out and do whatever. That's what we was saying. Give us the power. We got you.
Yeah, I'm just saying that you said that you gave him a whooping and he'd still do, and you gave him a whooping and he'd still do, and he didn't change his behavior until you started having conversations with him.
Correct.
What I'm saying is that wasn't necessary to correct the behavior. And each time you think that whooping is necessary to correct the behavior, I just hope that you'll stop and you'll think, how is this going to be better? Because I told them and they still did. I whooped them and they still did. I yelled, I cussed, whatever, and they still did. So apparently it's something a little bit more. And
I agree.
I agree. You go from told them to show them. That's a big difference.
No.
Wait, let's go. We went so far left, and Angel, I hope you can bring us back. What are some positive? We ain't talking about the positive stuff. We went so, and Ren, what no disrespect to you, Ren. This is Nuts and Bolts. We say what we say. No disrespect to you at all. Because if Joshua would have said it, I would have said the same to Joshua. Joshua, that's some punk ass shit you just said. So no offense, but what is a positive?
It is hard to offend me. No worries.
Let's bring some positive stuff.
I am one of those. We take things away. We remove certain things. This iPad is now mine.
Yeah.
Until X, Y, and Z. I am this extracurricular activity that you wanted to. Yeah. You don't get rewarded for bad behavior around me, but you also don't get hit for it. So it's a bunch of different. It's just I was supposed to go this weekend to, well, you can wrap that up. That's not happening for you because we had these conversations. I also don't know that I necessarily, and this is just me as a parent, I don't know that I necessarily got upset that somebody didn't clean their room. That was small things to a big fish. But if we're talking, you had a curfew and you broke your curfew, because I have adult children now. So you broke your curfew. That means there are things that you will not be able to get later on. Any form of corporal punishment is a no from me, and everything else is okay, except for yelling and cussing. I had to work on that one too, but I got there eventually.
Go ahead, Angel. And then Opie gonna read the comments of the Angel.
So I think also we have to realize too that children are much different than when we were coming up. There's a lot of things that they are experiencing that we really don't understand. And even with the coaching that I do over at the culinary school, I'm even talking to this 22-year-old young man. And I said to him, I said, you guys are different. Like, you guys do have things. We think that they're entitled, but we don't understand how hard life is for them. We think, oh, they got it easy and so on and so forth, but they're really struggling because of all of the traumas that this generation had to come up through, coming in from Columbine to just trauma, like shut down, just things that we had to experience as an adult, where we had a little bit more like emotional intelligence about it, where they did it. And so going back to your question about positive, I was that parents that believed in incentives. Like, no, I'm not giving you this for doing what you're just supposed to do, like getting good grades and cleaning your room and things like that. But I always thought like the positive reinforcement of like, hey, we used to have like a little board. Like, if I didn't have to tell you to clean your room, if I didn't have to tell you to get your grades, if you got good report cards, if like whatever it was, I always gave them an incentive, like, hey, I'll give you this for A's and B's. Like, yes, they're supposed to get grades, but I also feel like there's nothing wrong with rewarding, like when they did what they were supposed to do. And so if like my youngest, I started him in school when he was 4. They tried to diagnose him with ADHD, but I had a way to keep him focused. So when he went to school, as much as he wanted to fall out that chair, in his mind was like and it was tiring, but every morning, hey, you get a good report today, you be on green, bring the paper home on green, and we're going to go do this. Whatever I needed to do. I was that parent that went to school with my kids, and they knew we sitting in class. We have a question. Do you know what they're talking about? No, we have a question. And it didn't take too many times for me to do that. But I was a parent but they knew that I was going to do that. So I just kept the lines of communication open. I would ask my kids questions that they probably were too embarrassed to ask me. But because I knew that it was like just information and time and just listening and watching their movement and behavior, we just would sit down and I would talk with them. But I always feel like you're never going to get in trouble if you call me and you let me in on something. If you're out there, if you get caught up in something, call me and I will come. You will not get in trouble. They didn't have to think, oh my God, am I going to get in trouble if, because I'm doing this? I told them ahead of time, like, we can talk about anything. And as long as you're honest with me, you will not get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that I did with my boys.
And see, that goes back to what I was saying to April earlier about when I learned how to talk to the child. Because no, I didn't have my daughter wasn't raised in the house with me. So I didn't have to do a 24-hour parent like probably most of y'all until I came down to the Carolinas. But when I learned that, like Angel just said, the talking part, then I can be able to help him channel his emotions. But Oprah, you about to read the comments. Before you read the comments, hey y'all, make sure y'all click and like, share these messages, and subscribe. Click like right now, share and subscribe. We about to read some of the comments, and then we're gonna try to get to another question. The panel is really good tonight. I'm enjoying this. Go ahead, Obi.
Okay, I'll just read a couple of comments really quick so we can get back to the questions. One commenter said, children are children. They are human beings, but still there is a hierarchy. Another commenter said, I don't know any kid that never experienced at least one spanking that turned out to be great. Another commenter said, healthy fear is called respect. Another commenter said, only crazy people start off with physical harm. That's not that's not what a disciplinarian does. Someone said, Ren's kids should not be spanked for showing love, but if they are out of pocket, then that should be their ass. Another person says, emotional intelligence is the ability to control your emotions, not outwardly express them. And the last comment that I'm gonna read says, is it just a coincidence that children are way more disrespectful today than years ago? Obviously, today's parenting is falling short today. Most are spoiled and entitled, which goes back to what Angel just spoke about.
So that dives into another question, what that person just said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to another question. I know April, you got something to say. I'm gonna let you come on in with this one, and then if you got something to add to a previous one. So, are we still teaching the traditional old school ways of respecting authorities, including parents and elders? Because some of these kids, they'll cuss you out on a ball court. They'll cuss you out if they're pulled up by an officer. They'll cuss you out in the grocery store. Like, so are we still teaching them about, respecting your elders, respecting authority figures?
I've taught my kids and I've taught my grandkids to respect your elders, respect older folks, respect different parents. And the ones that I see in the street that you're talking about, Ed, to me, that's bad, lazy parenting, because they wouldn't be out there doing that if they didn't have role models or good parents in the household telling them what they needed to do and what they shouldn't need to do.
Well, I will not be teaching my daughter to respect their elders. So that might be that.
Dive into that. Dive into that, Ren. Listen, why not? Come on.
I'll tell you why. Because there are people out there who are not going to have your health in their best interest, and they're going to act like because they're older and they're an authority, you should listen to them. And this is how I got, we're not gonna, but this is why. You respect people, period. You respect people until they show you that you no longer respect them. And that is it. Eddie, you and I have a fundamental difference in our belief system. My 2-year-old is my equal. She's my equal. And so that's why I parent in the way that I'm parenting, because I full on view her as a full on human all by herself. And when I'm parenting her and giving her skills, I'm asking myself constantly, teaching her this in this way, how will that develop her when she's older? So if I tell you, you need to sit down, shut up, and listen to what I say, and I'm not going to explain myself, then I can expect as she gets older, her husband that's abusing her, whoever in her life, she is sitting down and shutting up and following exactly what they're saying, because that's what she was taught to do when she was younger. I want to create an independent woman, a strong woman who will stand up for everything she believes in. And the only way I can do that is by allowing her to have her own voice and be her own full ass human right now at 2 years old, so that she continues to be her own full ass human as she gets older.
Well, I want them, and I'm the April girl, and I think Joshua has some. So April, come on in, and Angel too.
Before I say what I was going to say.
Hold on. Before you go down, I want to say this one quick thing, then I'm gonna let you go.
Go ahead.
Rand, you said that we have differences, and I do agree. But the question was, are we teaching them to respect, not listen, to respect them, like a respect level? Don't mean you got to like, this, do they tell you like, do this, do that? Like, I respect my elders. Now, if you tell me something goofy, I might not listen to that, but I still respect you as an elder. I might move differently, but I'm not going to, like my grandmother, I think I might have just started maybe saying a profanity word in front of her. That's because I respect her. No, April might be different, but I just maybe just started to maybe say like shit in front of like, oh man, I respect my elders. You know what I'm saying? Not that you have the necessary. I listen to my grandma because she might knock me out, but I think it's a difference between, to me, and y'all could say differently. I'll let you come in, April, in a sec. But
is it respect
I think the difference between respect and just like you said, they might tell you wrong things, and I agree with that. But I'm saying, do you just respect them? Just give them respect, authority figure, a police officer, just give them respect. Yes, sir, no, sir, and then keep it moving. Like, it ain't gonna hurt to say yes, sir, no, sir, and keep it moving, and don't even get that ticket where you just like, oh man, fuck it, I ain't speed, or elderly person say something to you in the street. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You just give them respect and you keep it moving. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's a difference.
So I wasn't saying that you shouldn't respect people. I was saying that I'm not teaching my daughter to respect people who are older than her just because they're older than her, that she should just respect humans in general.
Yeah. I was going to start off with saying, like, seriously, you and I would like to exchange numbers later. I feel like we should be friends. But
I do
also,
too.
But also, I keep hearing everyone talk about spoiled kids. And I really would like to challenge that, because what's wrong with kids being spoiled? What's wrong with kids being loved? What's wrong with kids feeling like they can have a conversation with, like, what is spoiled as opposed to non-spoiled kids? Like, what would these kids look like if they were empowered to be their full ass selves and loved on unconditionally with that? Like, I don't understand why we just
so your kids are your equal?
Children, they love them. They're children. Why wouldn't we love them? Why wouldn't
so are they equal to you? Are they equal to you? A little child equal to you?
Is a little child equal to me? Yes. So, and we come from the same family. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of the ones who will say things like, I teach my children to respect people who respect them. I don't care. Just because your title is uncle doesn't mean that you somehow get more respect than the next person. I teach my children to respect people who respect you. They're not wild kids. You know my children, they're not wild kids. They're not out here cussing people out in the middle of the street. However, they are also right now adults. So, if y'all got into a little verbal altercation, and I don't think my kids are going to just be like, oh, this person is older than me, so I should, be quiet and we're not doing that over here. My kids are equal to me because they are like I am. They are human beings and they deserve respect the same way I deserve respect. So we're the same people. Do I pay all the bills? Yeah, but that's two different. I don't know how they're they're not deserving of the same amount of whatever I get just because I've been here longer. That's never been a thing for me.
Angel.
So I do understand what April is saying as far as being spoiled and kids being entitled. And sometimes as parents, like I think that love is shown in different manners. I think that people love in different ways. Some people would have said that I spoiled my son, where I looked at like I loved him. I loved him enough. Like sometimes as adults, we're like, oh, I want to do better, treat my child better, show my child better. And sometimes when we might go to the extreme in one case, so like if I was beat as a child, my extreme might be now I'm never beating my kid because I don't want my kid to feel how I felt as a child or whatever. And so it to me, it's not love. Love just looks different for different people. So I can't say if I used to take my son lunch because he used to go to a school, they didn't have cafeteria, blah, 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 whatever. So Monday through Thursday, I would take a break at work and I would take my son a hot lunch a couple of days a week. And if he forgot something, I might take it. But I didn't look at that as spoiling him or like whatever. I felt like I was showing up as a parent because when I was a kid, I didn't get that. So I wanted to show up. So when he had games, when he needed stuff, whatever, and because he had a lack in his life, I wanted to show up for him. It wasn't spoiled, but he went through a small period in his life where I was like, oh, dude, you're entitled. So me showing him that type of love gave him a little bit of entitlement where he was like, well, Mom, you always take care of it. And so can we call it entitlement really if they just continue to expect what we've been like showing them and giving them? And so it's not a win-win. It really is like an individual basis, because even if you do everything right, if you feel you do everything right, you give them love, you talk to them, you provide for them, they got a place to live, they got some of the nice things, whatever, and your child gets out here and they get 16, 17, 18, which we know once hormones come in, they be dumb crazy out here, like, and they still end up getting with the wrong crowd or doing whatever against all that you've taught them. That's why it is an individual need. It's an individual care. And like, you have to, like, you keep them and you pick them up from that 0 to like 5. You let them figure out between 5 and 7. But when they hit that teenager, like, you need to be on them like white on rice. Like, you need to be in everything and all up in all their business, because even if you do it all right, your child can still go left. And it's not bad parenting. It's not being spoiled. It's not being whatever, because everybody got to make their own decisions. You're only responsible for giving them the things and the care that they need. And it's their responsibility to take what you give them. But if they don't, can we say that everybody out here whose kid is out here a mess, it was bad? I'm not saying that there's not, because there is. But we just there has to be some grace in there too. So that's all.
Joshua, you said something about equal, not nobody's equal to you. Go ahead.
You definitely have to have a balance. You know what I'm saying? Just as hard as I am on my children, I'm as soft as I am as well, right? Because you got to have that balance. But when we talk about respecting your elder, I mean, in the Black community, that has a different connotation, right? Because we're trying to teach our children that in the real world, you have to have a certain level of respect for the hierarchy. You got to respect your boss. You got to respect the police, the authority, and you got to have a certain level of professionalism or understanding what respect can value for you. And I like to teach my children that in order to get respect, you have to be respectful. So it's very important for me to teach them the concepts of the ins and outs of respect and how you maneuver through that. You know, even to the case that if you're not being respected, then that's a key indicator that that's a person that you don't show respect to. I just think that overall that's an important concept, and I think that that's something that children can really value from nowadays, because like Ed said, they disrespecting you at the drive-through, they disrespecting you at the Dollar General. There's just no certain level of morale and respect in our community. And I think that that's because the men in our community has stepped back and allowed this concept of soft parenting to kind of evade what goes on. But man, we got to be hard out here. We got to be stomped down. I know you guys gave great examples of being there as a parent and having situations where kids go astray. Man, I'm not playing with that. I'm not playing with my kids with that, and they understand that. But again, just as hard as I am with being a disciplinarian for them to be able to facilitate and change their life, I'm just as soft as well. I give a lot of hugs and a lot of kisses, and I'm very encourageable. So it's a balance, and respect is very important.
You have daughters, yes?
I have daughters.
Yes,
yeah, daughters. They're they daddy's girls.
I feel like
if you see in public, they don't even leave my side. They be so close.
I feel like you definitely, like my father, he would definitely talk about, you know, being a disciplinarian and being there. Yeah, he was soft.
It's important to break it down. I'm not screaming on it. It's important
little girls be getting
to have an understanding of the way that why I'm moving like I am, or why this is important for your life, not just for me, just for your life. Because as a man, we want our children to be better than us. And then, so, I mean, in my community, we have to take certain steps and be able to do that. And I tell my children all the time, I'll be on my podium. I'm gonna get off my podium when I'm done hollering at y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love and respect y'all. Let me cook for a second, and time to be able to understand where I'm coming from. And I think that's the important part of being a disciplinarian, having the ability to connect with, like Angel said, having the ability to connect with the different characteristics of your children in a way that fosters and develop positive behavior. It's gonna be hard. I'm not against y'all not liking me for 10 minutes because I'm telling you, I'm holding you accountable. I'm not against that at all. I'll see you in the morning when we're cooking eggs, and holler at me then. But for now, you wrong, and I'm gonna hold you accountable for that. And that's not beneath me, and I'm not scared of that. And I'm not scared of losing a relationship with my child because of that, because at the end of the day, the importance is for them to put themselves in a position to be able to maneuver in this crazy world that we're living in a way that's healthy and that's good for them.
So let me say this before Obi reads some comments. We live in the South, so y'all know about living. We in the South. No offense, Rand, but we in the South as Black people. So I think when I was trying to get hard on my stepson, it's because I wanted to teach him to be a man and not be out here doing foolishness where he might end up in somebody's jail, end up killed somewhere, end up beat up. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to teach him different ways to move, and that's why I stopped doing the spankings and started doing more of the teaching. Yeah. And so I was really, really hard on him, like extremely hard on him. That's why with my baby boy, I'm loving on him. I'm tough on him, but I'm so smushy. I'm mushy on him. Like, no, he can't do no wrong in my eyes. But unless he do something like he don't do nothing that's crazy. But he's only 6, so he's the same age as a kid when I first got him. They're the same exact age. And my daughter, like, she just bougie. So she get away with murder probably. But being in the South, I was like, okay, we got to make sure we move different. Come down here. Now I'm from the North, so I just figure when I'm down here, I got to move different. And I want to make sure they also moving differently. Yeah. Go ahead, Obi, read some of the comments. And y'all, the phone line's still open. Y'all want to call in? The phone line's open. Please put the phone line number up, please, for me real quick. Phone lines are open. The number is 704-891-9560. Again, the phone lines are open. The number is 704-9560. Go ahead, Obi.
That's 704-891-9560.
Thank you.
All right. Just read a couple of quick comments. There's a difference between being loved and being spoiled. Another commenter said, I get the generalization of respecting people as people. However, there is a thin line. What we need to do as adults is stop expecting children to make adult-like decisions if the respect is necessary. Another commenter says, allowing a child to have the notion of being on the same level as an adult can be detrimental for them. Still a child dealing with adults in the real world without their parent. And the last comment I'm going to read says, if a child thinks that they are equal to an adult, a child thinking that they're equal to an adult can be dangerous for the child. It will put them in spaces to really get hurt. We have to think long and hard of how we empower our kids.
Can I?
Hey, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, jump in.
So when I'll just speak for myself. When I say that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to read that last comment really fast because it was off of that. Are equal to an adult can be dangerous. So when I say that my child is equal to me, that does not mean that I'm putting her in adult situations.
Yeah.
That means that I am respecting her fully as a person, as a human. And developmentally, of course, she needs to be raised a certain way as her cognitive ability is increasing.
Yeah.
But there's not going to be a hard change when she turns 18 as to how I respect her now that she's a literal adult. And I feel like a lot of parents, I'll speak about my parents. My parents had a really hard time viewing us as adults. And I have friends whose parents have a hard time viewing them as adults because where's the change? When they're 18, all of a sudden you have this ability to just like change how you view them in your mind. Most people can't just make that switch. And if you can, maybe you have to go to therapy. So it's not that I'm putting or would ever put my child in situations that are appropriate for me, but not appropriate for a 10-year-old. It's more that I just fully respect her and we can have a debate, tell me your side, girl. If you got something to say, I want to hear it. And if I disagree, I'll tell you why I disagree. And if we continue to disagree, we'll try and figure out how to find a common ground, because that's what you're going to do when you are in the real world. You're going to find a common ground, even when you guys do not agree with each other. There are going to be moments where I'll say, hey, nope, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I understand that you can't fully grasp what I'm saying currently because of your cognitive ability. So I'm going to pull the mom card and I'm going to say, we have to do it anyway this time. This is the reason, but we have to do it. That's all.
So we gonna dive into this last question. I want Jay to kick off this last question because I think she had a daughter that's 18. So I want to ask her to kick this off, and then everybody else can chime in on it. So we know the old school ways, right? About teaching your kids to go to school, go to college, get a good job. That was back. That's what most of us was taught. Like, go to school, go to college, get a good job. So how does the new way approaches emphasize a child's unique talent and interest, prepare them for future success?
Wow, it's funny that you say that because I had, like you say, she made 19 last week. She graduated last year, and I told her that, you know what, I don't want you to go to college because you think that's what I want. I want you to go if that's what you want to do. But see, I'm going to be honest. I know my child, and it was a struggle getting her up going to school since 5th grade. So for me to say you need to go to college, like, I would have probably set her up for failure when that's not what she wanted to do. What I am trying to get her to do is, figure out a plan. Like, okay, I'm not making you go to school, but you have to, one, earn your keep, because let you tell it, you're grown. Grown people pay bills. In order to pay bills, you need to get a job. You got a job, you making $15 an hour, it's cool, but now you're realizing that's not real money. What are you going to do to make real money? So now her wheels are spinning, and now she's like, thinking about different businesses she can open up. And I told her, like, if you want to become an entrepreneur, I wholeheartedly support that, because I wish somebody would have pushed that on me instead of education, go to school, get a degree, because here we are 2 degrees later, almost 100K in debt. After being in my field for 20 years, I am finally at a place that I'm happy at. And it literally took almost 20 years to get there. And I don't want that for her. People equate college with success, but do you know while I was chasing my bachelor's and master's, I had friends with associates or less making more than me, making me wonder, like, wait, what am I doing wrong? So if anything, it comes to just really knowing my child. And don't get me wrong, like that's why when we jumped on the call, I was like, yeah, I got one too many because she's testing me. This is not an easy it's not an easy road. And maybe we should have started this process when she was a freshman, figuring out what's next, because now that she's graduated, it's, I'm grown, but I don't want to have any obligations because I've never had to have any. You can't be grown and not pay a single bill. Like, make it make sense. You want me to respect you on that I'm grown level, then you need to make grown moves. And because she's not making those grown moves, for the most part, my teenager is, she's in line. She's just, giving her time to figure out her life and letting her know that, look, you don't want to struggle. So, yeah.
Jay, I work in workforce development and I work with youth 16 to 24. And I help them prepare for the world, right? The workforce that they'll see. And I applied a lot of those concepts to my kids. And it was like, you ain't got to go to school, but you're going to have to do something. You know what I'm saying? There's occupational training certificates that you can obtain. There is all type of apprenticeships and things that you can do. But you might not want to go to a traditional 4-year school, but man, you're going to have to do something. And that was kind of the thought. And I have a 19-year-old as well. She just turned 19 yesterday, similar to you.
Wow, August 13th, my baby.
You feel me? So, but the decisions that she made to go to college was all her decision. She picked the school, she filled out financial aid, and she might not have been as adequate, like you said, but coming out that COVID, coming out that pandemic, she was just on it so hard. And then, so like you said, that's the stuff that we want to encourage if that's the route that they want to go. But to my point, hey, listen, you're going to do something around here. And like the question, education, it's the transition into adulthood. And I'm like the first one who got my bachelor's in my family. So that's really important to set that bar. But if that ain't what you want, that ain't what you want. And there's a lot of different opportunities for you to be able to get into a good career, but you got to have that goal, got to have that drive. And you got to have a daddy like me with my foot on your neck telling you, you're not going to play around here. You're going to do something today. You know what I'm saying? So I'll land my plane.
I could add one more thing. So in the attempt of letting her figure out her life and following, what she like, my daughter's always been into like fashion. And I remember watching her grow up. She was always sketching. Mm-hmm. She recently, I would say about a month ago, on her own, I had no idea, went and purchased her, when I say a nice sewing machine, looking for classes to learn how to sew. I'm like, baby, you mess around, start making prom dresses. That's all you have to do.
Let's go.
You won't mess around and make enough to do seasonal work. So you got to know your kid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think what we're doing right here, where everyone is talking about their kids and everybody is, giving pointers or whatever the case is. I think that's what old school parenting, the portion of old school parenting should be. That community piece that we lost, I think that's what is the issue. Not whether or not we should go back to spanking. I think whether or not we all looked out for everybody's kids. Everybody made sure that you knew that this kid we have those Facebook, social media, nieces and nephews, actually be involved in the stuff that they got going on, making sure that you are a resource for somebody else who probably just got there. I remember when my son graduated from high school, I was the person who liked school. So I wanted to go to school, and I wanted my kids to want to go to school, and I wanted them to want to have degrees and stuff. Yeah, that's not them. Did I know how else they should move? I have probably the oldest kids of everybody in here, so no. But if I would have had resources, other people who raised kids who could actually speak to that. So these are some things that I suggested for my daughter, my son, when he was at that age. I think that's the piece of old school parenting that we need to get back. And then maybe these kids wouldn't be so disrespectful because they know you and they know better than to be disrespectful with, somebody strange, some stranger on the street, because you're not a stranger anymore. You miss such and so from up the street. I go to church with your mama type situations. That's how we get back to getting these kids in line, I think.
Hey, April, while you want to stay with you real quick, so give everybody your final thought of the whole show and its whole.
Darn, that was my final thought.
Oh, okay. Anybody else want to tap into this last question and then give your final thought too? Rand, you want to tap into this one and to give us your final thought after that?
I kind of just agree with everybody. Each child is unique, and all kids are going to figure out their place in the world and where they want to be. And sometimes there's a disconnect with their place in the world versus where they want to be. And then they have to figure out the pathway to get to where they want to be. And it's just part of the human experience. I went to college later in life. And I think for me, that was the best decision that I could make because I wasn't ready when I was younger. I went to college when I was 27. And I was not ready when I was 19, 18. And I would have absolutely failed out. And had I tried, I likely wouldn't have tried again. So I think that all kids are just so different. And my final thoughts are we all have a different belief system because of how we were raised and because of our experiences. And we cannot expect for somebody to see our side of things because they never will, because we just all live on different frequencies, because we just can't see eye to eye because of our very different experiences. And so I love open conversations like this because it might help give different perspectives and stuff, but we'll never change each other really, but we can come together in community like this, which I think is really beautiful. And then my last thought, trauma is what happens inside of you, not what happens to you. Trauma is when something happens and it's what happens inside of you because of what happens to you, not directly because of what happens to you.
Yeah,
that's all.
The result.
Jay, if you want to answer this question, you can, but give us your final thought of the show.
Did I answer the question? I feel like I started to answer the question.
Yeah, so give us your final thought of the show.
I agree with what almost everyone said. I get why we want to discipline our children because that was the topic, but just again taking my parent hat off because I do wear both. I wear a parent hat and I wear a professional hat. Taking the parent hat off, it's we think about what discipline is, and discipline doesn't always have to be corporal punishment. There's a difference between there's levels to discipline. I remember somebody mentioning if I told you not to be on your phone after 9 o'clock, then that's it. Okay, instead of giving you corporal punishment, how about after before you take your bath, turn your phone in and you'll get it tomorrow since you can't stay on it past 9 o'clock. Just finding other options and talking to these children because everybody said trauma is a result to us wanting to prove a point or make them listen or get them in line to act a certain way versus teaching them the reasons why and what they can be doing instead of doing that.
Thank you, Joshua. If you want to answer the question, you can, but give us your final thought of the show.
So as a final thought, I believe, even though that all of these children are different, right? They have different characteristics and different personalities. There is a general baseline of what your expectation is for that child to be able to be successful once they leave your house. And as a father, I think it's important for me to hold them to that general baseline, as well as take in consideration who they are, their capabilities, their characteristics, and what they're willing to do with their life. I'm not going to say that we should go back to the old school spoil the child, the rod, spoil the child comment. I'm not doing that. I don't put my hands on kids. But I think that as a parent and as a disciplinarian, it's really important for me to set the standard, right? And then require my children to live up to that certain standard. I believe in them wholeheartedly. I don't think that there's anything that they can't do. So I'm not gonna take it light. When they dot my door, when they beautiful in this house, but when they leave, don't no one care about how pretty their hair is or about how cute my son is. They're gonna have a requirement for them. They're gonna have an expectation for them. And I think that as a disciplinarian, right, as well as a loving father, it's important that I provide them with what they need to learn that's going to have them be sufficient adults once they leave my house. So I'll land my plane at that. I'll drop it there. Great show. Great topic.
Thank you, Joshua. Angel, give us your final thought, and then we will have you plug the dating show also.
Oh, I was doing that. So first I want to say, April, I probably have the oldest child on this panel, unless your child's older than 33.
Oh, almost though.
But no, I thought it was a great topic, Ed. Lots of great questions. I definitely agree with April. Just the community piece, I think, is would be a great addition to this parenting. And I mean, we had the village back then. I was sharing with someone earlier that that's how it was. My parents didn't have to, or my grandparents didn't have to worry about where we were because someone was always calling them and telling them where they saw us. So they knew where we were at before we had phones. And then like Jay, I did, like, I won't say force my son to go to college, but he had an aspiration, he got a scholarship and he went to school and he went 3 years and he stopped. He's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, boy, school was free. Like, what's wrong with you? But he just wasn't like a school person and he just had his own personality and his own drives. And so now I just kind of help him cultivate that. But great show. And just if any of these ladies on here are single, we are having our date 'em or ditch 'em, come along, contestant. So let us hook you up, get a dinner paid for, and find a life partner. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, because all them men is single too, and they, anyway. So yes, join us in our date 'em and ditch 'em.
Thank you, Angel. OB.
Angel, I like the way you segue into that. That was perfect. Hey, Ren, Jay, April, appreciate you guys being here. I think it was a great show. In my opinion, I just think that there's no right way to be a parent. It's all a learning thing and process. Every family is different. Every child is different. The best way to become a great parent is just see what approach works best for you and just go with that, whether you're a single parent, a parent in a dual family household, or whatever. And that's about it.
Thank you, OB. Appreciate you guys. I think this was an excellent show. The great guests. We had different perspectives. Hope we learn from each other. Heard people learn from in the chat. I think everybody summed it up pretty much well about April said the community. I love that piece of bringing back community. OB said what I was going to say about everybody going to raise their child how they want. Do what you want to do with your child. If you want to talk to them, spank them, be equals, do what you want, but also be okay with whatever happens in the future with how you raise them. To be okay with it. If you want to spank your child and they become mass murderers, be okay with that because you beat them. If you want to be the equal and they start this, whatever you want to do with your child, just be okay with the results and just put your best foot forward as a parent and love on them. Teach them as best as you can because we all get it wrong. I don't think nobody, not even old school, got it wrong. New school get it wrong. I guess we're in middle school. We're gonna get it. Everybody gonna get it wrong. But just continue to do as best you can as a parent. And I just want to thank everybody for coming on the show. Y'all was phenomenal. Like Angel said, don't forget to come to the Date 'em or Ditch 'em show. We're gonna try to do our best. Angel was she didn't tell y'all she's hosting the show. She's gonna be the host of the show, the Date 'em or Ditch 'em. But come on, we're gonna get y'all right. But if y'all like to be on next week's show, guess what next week's show is about? Sex before I do. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about sex before I say I do. So basically, if you're gonna have sex before you marry that woman or that man, is it okay to have sex? Yeah, we're gonna dive deep into that next week. If you'd like to be on the show, you can reach out to Tashina Nicole on Facebook or you can reach out to myself, Edmund Chapman, on Facebook. Also, if you'd like to sponsor us, we're still looking for sponsors. You can reach out to Tashina Nicole again on Facebook, or you can email me at 80ed30@gmail.com if you'd like to sponsor the show. Again, I think the show was a really good show. And like I say every single week, I love you. God loves you. Go out and be great on purpose. Out, y'all. It's a Team OB.